Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bright Founders Talk at Temi. Temi is an international software development company that designs, builds, and delivers software for sustainable businesses and promising startups. Welcome to our podcast, where we bring you the most inspiring stories of entrepreneurs and experts in the software development industry. Each week, we interview successful leaders who share their unique journeys and valuable insights. I'm your host, Barry. Now, today we're lucky enough to have a remarkable guest joining us, Andrea Innocenti, who is co-founder at Roomless. Hello, Andrea. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Barry. Thank you very much.
How are you doing today?
Everything is fine. Thank you. I'm
Perfect.
Here in Tuscany.
You're in Tuscany. How's the weather there?
Not very beautiful, but that's an exception for us. So I'm pretty happy with the location.
Yeah, you can't have that sun all the time, right?
Yeah.
So thank you so much again for taking time out of your day to speak with us. I know you're very busy. But before we begin the podcast proper, I would like to begin by talking about who you are on a personal level and the amazing journey that you've had. So before we do that, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and the company that you work at?
Of course, with pleasure. So first of all, I'm born in Italy, in Tuscany, exactly. I've studied economics and management, so business administration between Tuscany and Bologna for the master's degree. I have always had the passion for entrepreneurship since I have a family of entrepreneurs in the fashion industry. So this is something that has always been near my personal life. And from the day one of my bachelor's degree, I've started trying some entrepreneurial project. I've launched a brand of shoes. Then I've tried to create an app for food waste in the commercial and corporations and university. Then I've launched my first real startup in the travel tech industry, which is Wanderoo. I'm not yet inside the company anymore. And then Roomless. So this has been my journey always between economics, startup, and entrepreneurship.
So before we go on, we were having a brief conversation about the rebranding. So I think this is probably a good time to mention that for our listeners and viewers. So you're going to rebrand Roomless, right? What are you going to be changing the name to?
Yeah, we have decided to go into a rebranding because Roomless has born with a precise target in mind, which is students and student accommodations. But then we have become a real reference for all the managers and people looking for premium accommodations for temporary periods. So we have decided to create a brand which better fits all the targets that we have at the moment. Consider that at the moment we have a 50-50 division between students and managers looking for premium flats all over Europe.
So you mentioned that you have like a rather successful family, all entrepreneurs in their own right. Did they play a big part in your drive to become an entrepreneur?
I would say yes. It's not that successful, honestly speaking. I mean, they have always been real small entrepreneurs, like very often happen in Italy. But they have transmitted to me the passion for work and the logic that you need to do something you're passionate about to enjoy your life even while working. And this has always been my mindset. I have always avoided doing some things I was bored doing it. So I've always tried to say what I like doing, and then let's create something on it.
So when you were growing up, being surrounded by the culture of Italy and your family, did you think, yes, I'm going to be an entrepreneur one day? Or was it something that you thought nothing about and then it accidentally happened?
No, I've always thought I want to be an entrepreneur, but I've always been very aware of all the pain of this job. even because, as I've told you, my family history, entrepreneurial history, has not been that successful, but has been a real normal, a small entrepreneur history with a lot of pain during this. So I was from day one really aware of what I would have encountered, but it was more important to me the idea of doing something that drive me, that motivate me every single day, and not being bored every single day at work.
Nice to hear. So you mentioned, I believe you're a co-founder, so you're one of a group of people who set this. How did you come to me? What was the process of saying, okay, let's start this entrepreneurship?
Okay, so first of all, in Roomless, I'm not really the idea man of Roomless, because the idea has come to Riccardo and Francesco, who are two of my four co-founders. Then they have met with the other Andrea, which is the actual CTO of the company. And we have met each other in the same incubator in Florence, which is Nana Bianca, which is the main player in the seed stage of startup in Italy. I was there with my other startup, the travel tech one, Wanderu. So we have met each other. Then COVID happened, and we have decided to start working together. And then I have felt in love with this new project, and I have dedicated myself totally to this new company. So this is the real history of Roomless. And the idea, to Riccardo and Francesco, has come from a real need, like always or very often happen, because they was in the situation to go to an Erasmus study period, and they had really big problems in finding a home, not being in place, in particular in Germany and in Spain. So they have said, we need to find a way to allow everyone find a place, find a home away from home with digital solution, and being totally secure of this process.
Perfect. You actually predicted my next question. My next question was going to be, so what was the drive that caused you to do it? But fantastic, yes. So I think most of us has probably been students in one time or another, and you know, especially in the UK, I'm not sure about Italy or other countries, but definitely there is a bit of a difficulty in finding those locations. So your application, your business actually helps to bridge that gap between those who need accommodation and those perhaps who are looking for potential customers or clients. Is that right?
Is that perfectly right? We are a marketplace, so we are like Airbnb, but for the mid-long-term rentals. We are only renting places for at least 1 month, maximum 18 months. The average is 9 months, so you can guess which is our target. We have students coming from a year period or an Erasmus, and we have managers coming to going to a different place for a mid-long period. So at the moment, the rental industry is really difficult, especially for people looking for a house, not for people who have a house. So we are helping people being fast in finding the accommodation they want to, because if they otherwise need to be in place, the process becomes really hard, and they potentially would find themselves in the situation where they need to live in a hotel or an Airbnb for months, spending a fortune before finding the right location.
Perfect. Sounds amazing. Sounds like something really worthwhile. And I can imagine doing something like that is pretty exciting. Do you have a lot of challenges with that kind of role, being an entrepreneur? What kind of challenges have you encountered?
Yeah, the main difficulty we have is always at the beginning, when you need to develop the idea. You have an idea, you need to create a company, which are two really different things. So it's a very hard process to create the product, to find market fit, to decide the revenue model, and then to find the acquisition channel, which is the hardest pain, in my opinion, when you have a business. So this is the main difficulty at the beginning. Then you have a constant pain, which is finding financial resources, finding money. And this is something we are dealing every single day, of course. And then I would say the last thing is always trying to innovate, to improve. Because the moment we sit on our chair is the moment we die, because we have a lot of competition, we have actual competitors, we have incumbents, we have new companies creating in this industry. So we need always to think at something new. For example, we have launched in January the secured rental process for owners, which means that if the tenant doesn't pay the rent, we pay the rent to the owner until the end of the contract. So this is a way to ensure the money to our owners, which is something great in our opinion. And right now, after it hasn't even passed 12 months, and we are already thinking at something to help tenants instead. And we are trying to find a way to finance their rent and allow them to pay the rent even if they don't have the money at the moment, to give them an opportunity to live in an economic and financial district and create a future.
Is that something a lot of people are doing, or is it something that your company particularly specializes in?
In the mid-long-term industry, if we are speaking about digital companies, we are not a lot of players. I would say less than 10, more or less. Of course, of significant dimension. But a lot of new companies are being created, and then we have all the old industry players like real estate agents, which dominate the long-term market, which is a real billion-dollar market. So we need to find the right balance to understand who are our competitors and how we can create something better than both digital and old economy players.
Amazing, nice. So when you set up this journey, was it something that you expected to do easily, or did you think it's going to be hard and I know exactly that this journey is going to be a difficult journey to make?
In my opinion, it has always been really hard, honestly speaking. It's always like this at the beginning. Then you find something, you find the product market fit, you find the revenue model, you start acquiring customers, then you find financial resources and you scale a little bit and you understand that, okay, I have a product, it can go on, I can grow the company. Then there is the new bets, as I've told you before. You need always to grow, so you need always fresh money and you need always fresh ideas. And at the moment we are in this stage of the company. We have showed everyone that we have created a nice product. We have a good customer base, but we need to do more. We need to create, of course, this is our ambition, $1 billion company. So we need to grow really fast at the moment.
So we have talked briefly about challenges and difficulties along the way, but what has been the most valuable lesson that you have learned along the way?
Okay, if I had to choose one, I would say the team. It seems something obvious, but it's not until you find the real value of the people you have around. Because consider that I've had two companies during COVID. One have failed, the other one has grown, which is Roomless. So the main difference, of course, also the industry play a big part in this process, but the other main difference is the people you have around and what your company means for them. We were 4 people for whom Roomless meant everything. So we have found a way to deal with COVID and to leave the COVID period stronger than before. And this is the main reason why right now we have a nice company and a nice future, in my opinion, because we are a strong team with people who respect themselves and find themselves very well working together.
So in terms of the dynamics of the team, when you were setting up as co-founders, did you all have the same strengths or did you all have different strengths and weaknesses?
No, totally different. Totally different. And I think this is a nice move. This is a pro because we are 4 people with different backgrounds. Me and Riccardo are in the economics, while instead Francesco is an architect. And the other Andrea is an informatic engineer, so is the CTO. So we have different background, different hard skills, but even different soft skills. There are some people who are more idea people, other people who are better in executing the ideas. So we have found the perfect balance from the idea to the product, and we are right now working well together.
So as you grow and as you're looking for new team members, what particular qualities or character traits are you looking for?
We are looking for people who can match our vision and our dream, first of all. We don't want people who like to have everything ready, the task which is perfect to do and mechanic. We want people that bring new ideas at the company. Young people very often are more driven to this kind of approach, and people who feel passionate about feeling part of something that's growing very fast and which is dynamic. So flexible people. Then, of course, we tend to prefer people who have studied at the university, of course, because they have an open-minded, no matter which kind of university, honestly speaking, but we really value the soft skills when we met someone, and their flexibility, their open mind, their willingness to join a dynamic place. This is something we really value a lot.
Perfect. So we talked about what kind of character traits that you really like. Are there any character traits that you think probably not a good fit for our company?
Yeah, I think that our main value inside the company is humbleness. So we don't like people who feel the best, who feel they have already arrived. We don't like this kind of stuff. And we don't like rigid mentality. People who lose motivation at the first difficulty and the first pain moment.
Yeah, well, I think that humility has come through because you mentioned at the start that you haven't you don't feel that there's a great deal of success within what you already accumulated. But I think from outsider's perspective, looking in, I think you have actually been quite successful and you have achieved a lot. But it's nice that you maintain that grounded approach, and I think people can respect that. So it's great to see it. So talking about you as an individual, if you could describe yourself in 3 words, and I might guess humble might be one of them, but let's see, what 3 words would you use to describe yourself?
It's not easy. It's a lot. I don't answer these questions. It was more in the past when you go into a recruiting process. So it's a lot. I don't think about it. But yes, I would say humble is the first thing. Determined, I would say, and also realistic.
Yeah, I suppose you need to be realistic, isn't it? Because you can have these hopes and dreams, but if you can't understand the limitations, understand the real world, then it's probably going to be a big struggle for you, right?
Yeah, exactly. When I say realistic, I want to say that a lot of times when thinking about entrepreneurs, you think about people of great ideas, which is absolutely true, but then these ideas need to become real product. And you need to execute at the best. So, or you are the entrepreneur who can afford to put manager in place, or otherwise you need to be an entrepreneur and a manager. So you need to be realistic. You need to understand when your ideas is possible to put in place to create a product. When is the best timing to do it?
Yeah, so if we take a step back from the business aspect of it and talk a little bit more about you. So are you a morning person? Are you an evening person? Do you have any particular times of the day when you're at your best?
I've never been a morning person, but I have become a little bit more during the years. I'm actually 30 years old. I will be 30 years old on the 1st of December. So I would say that in the last 2 years, I've become more a morning person. In particular, I love to train myself in the morning, then I have a shower and then go to work because I feel fresh, I feel new, and then I can do my best in the morning. Then I have a difficulty time after lunch. You know, in Italy, we used to eat a lot at lunch, so the moments later is a little bit difficult, but then I really feel energetic even in the afternoon and in the evening because I'm an evening person, so I can work well. This is my routine.
I think we can all of us older people, you know, older, can identify with that journey of really liking the evenings and not liking the mornings. But as you get older, I think you do tend to go towards being more of a
That's true.
morning person. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
we can all identify with that. And happy birthday for December, by the way. We're not quite there yet, but by the time this video goes out, it will be appropriate.
Okay, thanks.
So you mentioned there about your exercise routine. So obviously being an entrepreneur and managing a business is really stressful. Do you achieve that work-life balance successfully? Do you know when to draw the line and say, right, my workday ends here and my personal time begins now? Is that an easy distinction for you?
It's not easy at all. And maybe is the thing I have worked more on in my life during the last years. I will say something a little bit contrarian, but in my opinion, you need always to have in mind that work, is only work. So you need to play in the work industry and really understand that there is a limit when it's better to stop working, because it's better for a lot of reasons. Because if you go on, you would not feel productive, first of all, because in the day after you would feel less productive, because if you don't have a private life, you feel less motivated even in the work life. So you need to find a really good work-life balance, and always have in mind that work is only work. Do your best, of course, in my opinion, when you work, but when work finish, and it has to finish every single day at the same time, more or less, if you succeed in this, then you have your life. Try to avoid thinking about work, try to avoid speaking about work, and then in the morning later you will start again more motivated than ever, working and do your best.
Do you take holidays for yourself? And if you do you manage to keep away from the emails and constant contact with work?
Yeah, I have holidays, not a lot, but I I try to get the best from these holidays. And yes, I would say that I don't answer, I don't look at emails. I only answer to my co-founders, of course, who are also friends for me. So I know that when they call is because they really need to speak about something. So it's not a problem, of course. But for the rest, I really try to avoid working when I am on holiday. Yeah.
So you mentioned being a contrarian. So I'll put a contrarian message to you. So some people say that it's best not to work with friends when you have a business, but some people say actually it's the best thing to do is work with friends. What is your view on this?
It's really hard. I would say that I agree with the general view, which is better to avoid, in my opinion, to work with friends and family. Because one simple reason, you can get the worst from both sides. So if work fail, then it can fail also the personal life, which is something really important. It's a real big risk. So in general terms, I would say let's avoid this risk. Let's keep separated work and life. But then on the other side, if you succeed, and I'm not speaking about economic success only, but if you can find the balance, if you can find yourself working well with your friends and family, then you have won, because the feeling, the understanding that you have with those people is something that you will never have with other people that you don't know, that you don't love. So if you succeed in finding the balance, is the best thing to do, but it's so risky that maybe the general idea is better to avoid.
So I suppose it's kind of like a roller coaster ride with friends,
Yeah.
isn't it? Because when everything's going great, it reinforces the friendship when you're having a great time at the highs. But then when you have those lows and the
Yeah.
pressure from work is also a pressure on the friendship. Yes. So it does make sense what you're saying, even though it is kind of opposing viewpoints. Yeah. Is there anyone out there in the world, an entrepreneur or a successful businessman, that you think, do you know what? I would love to swap roles with them and see what I could learn from them in a day.
That's interesting. I have always estimate Warren Buffett, because I am really passionate about finance, and because he has started from nothing, I would say. So I would really love to understand, and also because it's a funny person. So I would really love to understand his routine, and what he think, what he feel, to be this successful, and always become always keep this humbleness that we were speaking before. So yeah, I would say him, but there are a lot of successful entrepreneur, of course, I would like to learn from, Italian and European, and from the United States, of course.
Perfect, lovely. If you could create a movie poster about your company, so let's use your creative imagination here. If
Okay.
there were a movie poster, what would that imagery be, and what would maybe the motto or the title be if you were to describe your company?
Okay. I'm not that creative. You should have asked to Francesco, which is the creative part of the company. But from day one, from our first employee, and even before, honestly speaking, we have always called each other with the name Sharks, because we have always thought, of course, joking, but there is a sense that we are a digital company, but when you create a company, the first thing you need to be is a salesperson. So all our people, also because we are a very commercial company, we have a lot of agents speaking with tenants and landlords and convincing them to rent from or through our website. So when you are a small company, in my opinion, in a place like Italy, when you don't have 110 or hundred of millions of funding, you need to live off the land. You need to do with what you have. So you need you can't spend a lot of money in marketing. So you need to convince people face by face. That's why we have always called each other sharks, because sharks attack and never leave the, I don't know in English, sorry, the exact word, but I think the sense is catched by my words. You never have to give up when you start selling something, so you have to play in the offense.
Perfect, lovely. Thank you for that. And I've got imagery now of the Jaws poster
Yeah,
with
exactly.
everything.
Exactly. We have it in the company headquarter. Yeah, we have it.
Perfect. Unfortunately, we are close coming to the end of the session. So just before we go, I always like to ask people, maybe there are people watching this right now who want to be an entrepreneur, and maybe there's a bit of fear or anxiety, and they're not sure whether being or doing it now is the right thing to do. What advice would you give to someone, to a potential entrepreneur who, excuse the imagery based on the jaws that we just talked about, but want to put their toe in the water, or want to start things? What would you say to those people?
Okay. My advice would be do it. Try. I mean, Again, work is work, so you have to find to try this road with a peace of mind that you can fail, but you will learn. So of course you need to give you the right timing. You don't have all your life to try and fail. You need to pay for the house, the food. I don't want to seem too much idealistic, but just give it a try. And in my opinion, the most important thing is do something you are passionate about, first of all. Then do something with people you trust and respect and you think they are valuable. They have the same value that you have. This is the most important thing, but complementary skills. And in my opinion, do it when you're young, because it's worth trying, in my opinion. You don't have pretty nothing to lose when you're young, so you can fail easily and you will have learned something, and then you can try again or change direction, but you would have always learned something.
What a nice, inspiring message to end the video on. Thank you. So, Andrea, I just want to thank you again for taking the time out of your day to speak with us. It has been a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you to Bright Founders Talk.
Lovely. That was Andrea Innocenti, co-founder and CEO of Roomless.